and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be as comprehensive, but a lot of people have been asking me about my experience with decoders, so I was gonna kind of walk you through the bot, walk through like expectations. I could also share results, and I'll take any questions too. All right, so let me get set up here. Let me share my screen. All right, can you see my screen? Someone just let me know.
Yep, it's visible.
Sounds good. All right, yeah, so let me first start off by saying kind of just like a brief history of like decoders, just so you can kind of get a framework of like how this thing is set up, and also kind of a framework of where this thing is gonna go. So basically, decoders is like this it's an NFT collection that was primarily geared towards like airdrop farmers. So they started off with several different modules that you could use to farm whatever protocol that you're doing. So when I so they were on the east side first, and they were just doing different modules across any big airdrop things that you could see. And then when I joined, there was the modules that you see here, and also scroll and hyperliquid. So basically, these guys are just like devs who are building tools to make airdrop farming as easy as possible. Um, so right here, you can see Meteora, Jupiter. You see Jupiter here as well. I'm using a fresh terminal because like I don't want to show my private keys accidentally. Um, Base. There's also Hyperliquid as well. You have Backpack Exchange, XYZ. So basically, um, then comes in Meteora. Like last year, I think they started developing this tool during the summertime of last year, and they've just been working ever since just to basically kind of perfect the tool. So what is Decoder? So Decoders is basically an automated DLMM uh, tool that you can basically use to basically automate your DLMM strategy. So you provide the SOL that you need, you fund your wallet with the SOL that you're going to be farming with, and then you could basically choose whatever strategy that you want to do. So basically, you can kind of see here with the strategy options, there's two-sided spot, two-sided bid ask, one-sided spot, one-sided bid ask. Um, and in the Discord, there's like a bunch of different um, strategies that people are sharing constantly with their different settings on how they're doing it. There's also preset settings here as well. You can see huge huge market cap, like with bid ask, and then I mean, everyone here already knows has a good base of good fundamental knowledge about DLMMs and Meteora, so you can kind of understand like why spot would be considered the most risky, and then bid ask would be the most safe for like a one size spot scenario. Um, So that's basically it. I think the basic framework that you want to think about this bot is like, it's going to do exactly what you tell it to do. So he has a bunch of different parameters that you can set here. You can take, well, I guess we could go down one by one. So basically, you can set the size of the positions you want to take each time. You could use percentage or fixed amount. And then, you could set your stop losses. So whenever your position value dumps to a certain degree, it'll make sure it takes a stop loss. And also, you could set this thing here where it could, if it does hit the stop loss, it won't go back into that pool. Same thing you could do take profit. And there's a setting a little bit later where you can do a take profit cooldown where you don't want to get back in that pool, or you can get back in the pool if you uncheck that setting. And then you can also set for how long you want to be in the pool, a token market cap that you want to be in the pool, and also hours. Um, won't go into detail with all the advanced settings, but this is just kind of to give you an idea of like, you're basically you want to kind of think about your risk tolerance and your risk strategy of how quickly you want to get gains and also how much losses you're willing to stomach if things go wrong. So the more riskier your strategy is, the more riskier your gains are, but also the more risk you're taking on and potentially losing a lot of money as well. Um, so basically, you there's a ton of different, like I was saying earlier, a ton of different strategies that people are sharing across the Discord. Um, and then people are always constantly talking about what strategy that's going well for them, dependent on the market. Sometimes a more safer strategy, especially like right now, is probably well suited. And then something like a couple days around when Trump launched their token, like tokens were going crazy. So something like a more degen strategy would have been like more appropriate for like the market. So it kind of just depends on like what your risk tolerance is and like what kind of market you're setting yourself up, uh, setting your bot up for. Um, so we could go into detail with the different like settings. Um, but I think the key highlights of these settings for someone who isn't really using it yet is you can set your max TVL. You don't want to, like, let's say for example, you don't want to get into a token like Trump or whatever the highest market or highest TVL DLM pools are right now. You could limit it by doing that. You could also limit it by just doing a minimum TVL, so that way you don't get into freshly new made up pools. Same thing you could do with the minimum token age as well. That kind of helps prevent that. Um, you can also set the geo tip with how much you want each transaction to be. If gas is really high, like something like a Trump or Melania launch, you probably want to up that geo tip. Um, but really, the key features, I guess, from someone just for someone who's deciding whether or not they want to use this, is kind of these last four here, and then a couple of settings down here as well. So basically, it also kind of like how Hawkify has it. You could do an auto compound and an auto take profit feature. So basically, this is default settings right here. Basically, it's set whenever your fees value hits $20 USD, it'll automatically claim, and you could either set it to sell, take profit, and sell it to Sol, or you could take or claim it and then put it into the pool. So that's this setting right here where it says claim fees and convert to Sol. I normally keep it on claim fees and convert to Sol. That way, I just take profits instead. Because if it keeps dumping, then your entire fee balance is gonna continue to decrease in value. You could also decrease the size on weekends. That way, like a lot of people say that um, you shouldn't trade on weekends because weekends are lower volume. Um, so this is one of those things in place to kind of help the automation process where it's just like you want it to automatically just decrease its size on the weekend. So people do whatever they prefer. I actually keep it really high at 95%. I'll show you guys my settings later. And then some other people do 0%, like they just want to keep going in with the same amount. You could also choose from the max the top pools of the day. So this is like 25. And this is also a new feature too to kind of help with rugs. It's in its beta phase. You can kind of read up from Jupiter. But basically they are assigning all tokens with an organic score, and they're basically tracking like bot activity, organic activity from like Telegram bots, or just buying from like the website itself, and then other different metrics as well. You can kind of read it more into it, but that basically kind of just it's a protective measure for uh, us as automated DLMers because basically like for full transparency, like a week ago, someone exploited uh was doing like a Meteora exploit where basically they're creating exotic pairs and pushing fees through it so that way it could appear as if it's like a really high volatile pool that's printing a lot of fees. And then they were also aging the token purposely to kind of attract it so people would think like, oh, okay, this token's 3 days old, it has 300Ks in fees, it's pumping, like it's doing well. So from an automated perspective, which is kind of why I started off by saying, whatever settings you choose is what this bot is going to do. It's going to try its best to find you the best pool based off what you tell it to. So in this scenario, like it, uh, because the organic score wasn't in place, it read that as like a good pool to get into, and people, the bot basically went in and people got rugged. So that's why this is new. It's a new system that's in place. It's also a beta feature as well. So, it's not going to be 100% foolproof, but it does help with like minimizing getting into those rugs as well. And then finally there's just, these different like things that you could do. Um Depending on what your strategy is, you could just do like, if you like smaller bin steps, larger bin steps, you could kind of select it from there. It's really just kind of just going over little things that I've been touching on throughout the other settings as well. Um, like you can enable take profit cooldown, like I was talking about earlier. Um, yeah, there's nothing much else here that is worth noting. And then you could also do only pump fund tokens. And again, the other reason why this is here too is because like that was in a pump fund token. The specific exploit was using like a they were deploying the token on Radium and kind of taking advantage of that. Okay, so and then finally, the last setting, which I think is like a really big deal, is I think all of us are probably familiar with HawkFi. HawkFi charges 8% fees for managing whatever automated pool you want to do, and it does auto compound and auto rebalance. But I think the drawbacks from HawkFi, from their perspective, is that they do auto rebalance once an hour, versus Decoder is way faster at like detecting when it needs to be auto rebalanced, and also it also has the auto compounding feature as well. So if you are using decoders, it's like it's really nice to have this because you don't have to take that 8% fee on whenever you're doing something. So if your capital size is like a little bit more smaller on the smaller side, like less than like I don't know, I'm not even gonna throw a number, but basically if you're using a smaller size, like that 8% might not necessarily matter, but I guess over time it does compound. But if you're using a larger size and trying to do like automation with HawkFi, then that can add up. So I think this is another like great feature about decoders where you can basically do the function of HawkFi through your decoder bot, and it'll automatically manage it through whatever settings you want. You could essentially ignore all this. It's really what you're trying to manage is your claimable fees, your take profit, your stop loss, and also how long it's in the position. Because everything else wouldn't matter because you're forcing it to go into a certain pool. So all these metrics don't matter except reduce size, claimable fee, how long you're in the position, take profit, take loss, and also the amount that you're going into. And actually also the strategy that you want to do. All right. That's basically the run through of the bot. Um Again, like it's for someone who wants to kind of automate the DLM process and kind of continue to generate fees and also profit while doing whatever daily Web3 tasks that you need to do. Because you can't always deal on them, you can't always watch the market. And I think like if this is like something that interests you, um, it's like one of those things that, for me personally, has like really. providing you with a